Hey, sports fans, video 5. Let's go through what we've already done because we've accomplished a lot. And it's probably taken you a few weeks if you're really a hustler. And if you're not, you're probably 2 or 3 months into getting anywhere on this list. But that's okay. That's okay. It's up to you whether you want to be a worker bee or whether you want to be the king or queen bee. Totally. No matter what you decide, make the one that's for you. And we'll get into all of that later on. Okay? So far, we have decided to play Monopoly. We have gone to college or we've mopped floors. We have picked our industry. And even if you have mopped floors or gone to college, we can still pick that industry. We can still work around these other things. I'm just telling you that those are the ways that I experienced that made these things all easier for me. So, you've done your research. You've gone and looked at your competitors' websites and what you liked about their websites, what you didn't like. Most of it's information. You want to know, what do they say about things? You know, what is their version? What is their spin? One of my favorite ones, you're going to hear me do it all the time later on, is what's their because everybody's got a carnival going on somewhere, man. And come on in, step right up, give me a buck. Okay, that's the deal. So you've done your research on what their methods are. I mean, what they think makes them the greatest in the world. Okay, now you've read every review, good, bad, ugly, any Better Business Bureau complaints, any complaints. What do people hate? What do they hate? What do they love? Okay, this is very important, along with what you liked and hated about the website. This all comes into play later on. Next step. I'm laughing because this is one of my favorite ones. I really, really have a good time doing this. You're going to pose as a customer, and there's a lot of simple ways to do that. Be a customer. If it's an electric company, I'll give you examples. If it's an electrical company, what would I do? I was going to open. What would I do? Well, I would call my competitors and I would pose as a customer by saying that I'm calling from my dad. My dad has a house in blah, 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 and it needs some new electrical work done. Ask questions about it. You know, if you're going to go into that business, you must know some questions to ask. Like if it was electrical, I'll ask, do you guys specialize in residential or commercial? How long have you been in business? How are you rated with a Better Business? Ask them all these questions because they have an answer. And if they don't have an answer, make a note of that's something you should have an answer for if someone calls you. Pick their brains. Family-owned company, how long they've been in business. Because they're going to give you all this because they think by giving you this information, they're going to get your business. That's why they're doing it. If you go in and say, hey, my name's Kevin and I'm going to be an electrician in your neighborhood. Hey, can you teach me everything about how you do your customer service and how you do your sales? This does not matter if you're contacting a one-person operation. You got to get that through your heads that one-person operation, he's still selling. Someone is selling. Someone is convincing people that this is the person that they should give money to. So there's a lot of different ways. If you're going to open a pizza shop, go try pizzas. Another thing to do is sit across the street from the pizza restaurant. Watch what's going on. There's all different ways that you can pose as customers and check out your competition and experience what your customers are going to experience when they call that person too. Because in this world, it's so easy to find your competitors. Back in the day, it wasn't like that. You had the yellow pages and anything you found in print. Once in a while, if you had the money, you did some TV or radio or something like that. Totally, like that's a whole nother, what a waste of money that can be. So find out as much as you can, And listen, if it's a small thing and you got to buy something, like if it's $10, $20, you got to buy a service, it's under $100, all of this goes under market research. If you hired me, that's not going to happen. But if you hired me to come in and do your market research for you, even on a small business, just say, I got one for you, a donut shop, okay? If you had a donut shop and you needed me to come in and do your market research, and I was still open my company, I would charge you $5,000 to do that. I would do it thoroughly, and it would take a little bit of time, and I would have an outlay of expense. I'm not putting that 5G in my pocket. There's people I got to pay to go do this work. I'll oversee it, and I'll be a part of it, but I'm obviously not going to go out and pretend to be customers anymore. So have some fun with that. You know, these are all things that you have to understand. If you can't do these things, once again, this isn't for you. Playing Monopoly is not for you. This is not one of them things. Or if you're going to play Monopoly, you better be all in. I mean, you better be prepared to go all in. If you're not prepared to go all in, you're going to make a living. That's what you're going to do, and you're going to struggle, and you're going to work more hours than you ever worked working for somebody else, and you're not going to have days off, you know, PTO. You're going to be finding your own health benefits. You have got so much pressure coming down the road for you that you can't even imagine it in your imagination, because so far that's all you've experienced is your imagination. The reality is a lot harder than I think a lot of you guys realize. But it's not insurmountable. It all comes down to how much you want, you know, and what you're willing to do. I used to tell people that wanted to open a company, I would say, I want you to make a list. I want you to take a piece of paper and I want you to split it in half. That's called a Ben Franklin. I don't know what y'all call it today, but we used to do that for years and years and years in business, okay? You would come up with an idea, you'd split the paper in half. One half would be everything you thought you could do with that company or liked about it, or, you know, all your positive stuff. On the other side, you would list all the negative stuff so that you could offset each other. So for me, a Ben Franklin's a very important thing. I need to see, you know, what are my upsides, what are my downsides, and I like to see them written out. So if you're going to open up a company, here's what I want you to do. On one side of the paper, I want you to fill in everything you're willing to do. Okay? And on the other side of the paper, I want you to write down. Now, I'm not talking about breaking the law, okay? That's not, okay? What laws you choose to bend, that's up to you. But on the other side, I want you to write everything you're not willing to do. And then I'm going to tell you this, I really believe this. If there is something on the other side of the paper that you're not willing to do, then you should rip that up and keep your job, okay? Because this is going to kill you. This is literally, I mean, I played at the highest level and I almost lost my mind, man. It's a crazy game owning your own company and being responsible, especially if you got a family, you got any kind of responsibilities. So all of this research I'm going to give you in this part of this series, this is really more about do all this legwork, and then you'll really be able to decide if you're ready for the amount of work and being your own boss entails. If you want to make a lot of money, if you just want to make a living, if you're making 70 grand now and you want to make 80 or 90,000 bucks a year, yeah, you can whip through this stuff. That's fine. I'm still going to give you, this is still the steps that you should take. It's just a whole different volume. Like you won't want to, I mean, you'll listen to the marketing stuff and the sales stuff, but as I go along farther in this, I'm going to get into more and more complicated. Hey, I got nothing else to do. Okay. And I have literally decades of experience in this stuff. So I'm just going to sit here and, do it step by step by step by step, all the way from the companies that I have been involved in, including my own, that didn't make any money because we didn't know what we were doing. And in the end, I'll share with you some of the companies today that are worth, you know, $50-60 million, at least, some of them way more, that I worked with as startups and what that took and when they brought me in. A lot of times there's some smart ones out there. There are guys that would open up a company and bring me in, you know, pretty quick. I had one like that. And if I had to guess what his place is worth today, it's smart. He brought me in, I mean, not right in the very beginning, but before he decided to blow it up, he brought me in, and I'd say his place is, at that point, his place was probably worth 3-4 million. Maybe 5 or 6. Doesn't really matter, like, you know, gross worth. It's all about net worth. So gross worth was probably 5 or 6. I would bet today's gross worth is probably $150-160 million. So can I say I did all of that? No. But I did teach him about 50% of the rules for playing Monopoly that he didn't learn on his own. Brilliant man, seriously charismatic, but didn't really understand how to play Monopoly. He was good at it, but he blew a lot of money, man. Blew a lot of money until he learned. So, peace.